So it's opened up the floor. Ask away.
You want to tell us a little bit about what's on your agenda? I know you filed a number of bills, both with the utilities and with the things in the mental health side too.
Maybe good if you could just explain to us and tell us what your
my role is now?
Yes. What is your role?
Okay. Since being elected to the Senate, I sit on 6 committees. I'm the chairman of mental health and substance abuse. I'm the vice chairman of transportation. I sit on the elder affairs committee, the public health committee, the children, families, and persons with disability committee, and the environment, agriculture, and natural resources committee. So I have 6 committees that I sit on legislatively. I have also had to undertake the Unitil issue, which was a devastation during December. I know you have municipal lighting, but for a lot of communities around us, they didn't have that opportunity. Also, with the stimulus package, we have a lot of projects that are obviously looking to be funded through the stimulus package. And I filed, I think, 7 bills regarding utilities. I filed some mental health pieces of legislation. We're working on the transportation piece, which was released from the committee today, and I was told it's already on telegram.com. The conversation that I had with the reporter. So there's a lot of big issues coming, and there's a lot of big things, I guess you could say, big ticket items that we have. Not so much the smaller issues that we used to have. So it's been busy. We did get a late start in the Senate and the House because there was a turnover in leadership in the House, so that kind of delayed our hearing process to get started, but we're now all organized and composed and ready to go. And so that's where we've been. We've been across the state doing transportation hearings. We were in Springfield, Methuen, and Boston. So that's kind of where it is. And my utility bills are being heard April 1st.
Do any of the utility bills affect municipal light departments, or are they essentially just going to be affecting like Unitil, National Grid, and private utilities?
Well, to put it easily, or to very, very simply, a lot of it has to do with what we found to be sort of neglected areas in terms of utilities. So it's really the bigger companies. Quite frankly, mine is targeted to Unitil, but certainly National Grid and Star and the like will be affected by it should they pass. Some of it really has to do with mutual assistance agreements. We heard from Unitil time and time again they couldn't get people here. The mutual aid system wasn't working. We also filed one about restoration penalties. If you haven't restored them in a reasonable amount of time, given the circumstances, then there could be penalties attached to it. I'm sure you saw Mr. Schoenberger had a $300,000 bonus for how great he runs his company. But for the 14 days, 12 days that we didn't have power in the 4 communities I represent, there's really nothing to penalize them for that. There's nothing. And we have a lot of people who expended a lot of money, a lot of energy, lost a lot of food. From what I hear, Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun did pretty well because a lot of people here went down there because it was the closest hotel that could hold any place. One of the people I was working with in the EOC sent their wife and kids down there. And the lady was like, why are there so many people from Lumsden, Fitchburg coming down here? Because they had no idea what was going on up here. But we had no hotels. There was nothing that could help us out up here. The utility workers that would even come here had to stay 20 minutes, 30 minutes away. So it was tough for them. I've also worked with Secretary of State Galvin for the emergency relief for electric customers. It puts a cap on the fines, and really it makes the company subject to civil penalties. So we want them to be able to civilly be sued. I know there's a class action lawsuit. We're not really sure how far that's going to go. Unitil saying that they did everything they could do within the scope and within their ability. Personally, I think they could have done more. I was in the Emergency Operations Center from the morning after the storm hit until Christmas Day. You know, we were there, and I've said from the beginning that I thought it was really, it dumbfounded me that legislators had to be involved in this process. You know, we have emergency operations for a reason, and Unitil should have been responding to them, not to me. but for some reason they weren't, and I think that they didn't follow their plan. But those are spelled out in the 2 hearings that we had, one in Fitchburg and one in Lunenburg. So that's the units and stuff. A lot of people want to go now to municipal lighting plants. I know you guys had a tough time, you know, the number of people that were out with the power, but they were brought back on, was it 95% in 5 days, I think it was. So now some of the communities like Lunenburg, Townsend, they're looking for other options. And that's one of them, I think. So it's funding's going to be a problem. It's all going to be the funding. There's no way we're going to be able to help them. And there's a misconception out there that we can force National Grid to buy them. Everybody thinks that National Grid can just come in and buy Unitsville, and they don't want it. I don't understand why would anyone want it. You know, it's not even buying it, it's upgrading it. I had a guy from Tennessee come up to me, had no idea who I was, and said, "This is the worst I've ever seen. You couldn't find parts for this for miles around." And I'm thinking, please don't tell me that. This close to Christmas, like, you're not going to help. So.
What about the transportation situation? And where do we stand now? Have we been at the hearings? What do you hear coming back from people in the state?
Depends on where they're from, depends on what group they represent, depends on what the group is trying to protect. Today, the Transportation Committee released from its committee Senate 10, which is the Senate version of the transportation bill. That's the bill that essentially merges 3 into 1 to create what we call mass trans. There's no revenue in the bill that we've passed because the Senate is adamant about reform before revenue. And we are very adamant to look at the reforms, what's it going to save us, how much can we possibly get away with, you know, between the duplication of services and duplication of jobs, and then look at the revenue side. Surprisingly enough, I've heard everything from don't touch the gas tax and tolls to let's do 50-cent gas tax. Obviously, you can see where people are coming from, and really, it depends on where they're from. I mean, we've had people come before our committee that want the 20-cent gas tax, but they want to exempt the elderly, the nonprofits, the municipalities, the people on welfare, the lower income families. You don't end up taxing anyone with their plan. They just exempt everybody. So we are going to debate this on Wednesday, the day after tomorrow.
Last Jen, Chris Roy, I'm an engineer in the commuter rail system.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, where do you things stand with collective bargaining issues with?
They're working out the collective bargaining issues. From what I understand, they're concerned about the public-private partnerships that would be allowed. The unions are nervous about the management rights and the collective bargaining, and they've been working diligently. I know that they were working with the chairman all weekend. They've certainly been working with Ways and Means because this bill's going to go to Ways and Means, and I think they're going to be able to rectify the differences that they've had. I do. I don't think they're going to lose their right. The questions right now are seniority. How do you merge 3 into 1? Do you do data service? Are you able to sort of intermittent put them higher up as they go? That's going to be a lot of the questions. But I do have to say the unions are, they realize that with the elimination of the turnpike, there's going to be an elimination of jobs. And that just comes with reform. I mean, one of the biggest complaints about the turnpike is that they have too many people working there and not enough to do. So if we eliminate that, there's going to have to